Thank you, George. Here I thought you were going to say, I get to decide where the money goes. Well, good afternoon and welcome to this great crowd for what I know will be a stimulating conversation. I have some brief prepared remarks, but before I do that, I just want to make a statement about the importance of this kind of dialogue, because I'm delighted to be here with my colleague, Senator Perdue, who sits with me on the Foreign Relations Committee. But more importantly, I think it is that Brookings and AEI are here hosting this conversation. Because one of the things that we're seeing through this election cycle and that we've seen too much in recent years is division throughout this country on almost every issue. And so to have a conversation where we listen to each other, to hear other people's opinions, where we can disagree in a safe way and try and build some consensus, I think it's really critical. So thank you, George, to AEI or to Brookings, and Danny to AEI for hosting this conversation. Thank you very much. Now, it's really great to see so many scholars and experts from the Washington policy community. And of course, I appreciate Senator Perdue's remarks and the fact that the issues of national security, promoting development and democracy abroad are bipartisan issues that are in our shared mutual national interest. A very special welcome to those of you who are here from USAID, and of course to your new leader. And Your Eminence, it's always nice to have you in the crowd. We need all the prayers we can get, so delighted that you're here. Without question, the mission at USAID, fostering sustained economic growth and resilient democratic societies, has never been more important. Powerful dynamics, including war, sectarian strife, poverty, and climate change, are destabilizing countries and entire regions. And by contrast, development and economic opportunity are great stabilizers. And make no mistake, USAID's work is national security work. As the President's National Security Strategy issued in 2015 notes, we have an historic opportunity to end extreme poverty within a generation and put our societies on a shared and sustained path to prosperity. In so doing, we will foster export markets for U.S. businesses, improve investment opportunities, and decrease the need for costly military interventions. USAID is hard at work addressing the crises, the refugee crises arising from Syria's civil war, and advancing development in Afghanistan and across the world from Southeast Asia to Africa to Central and South America. And I had the opportunity to travel to Afghanistan right after I got elected to the Senate and be part of a conversation about what we were going to do there to continue to promote Afghanistan. And I remember very clearly listening to the conversation about what was working there. And people talked about, do we need more of a military buildup? What has worked? And the thing that there seemed to be unanimous opinion about having worked the best to that point in Afghanistan was the effort to build health clinics across the country. And people said, not only have these clinics provided access to health care for people, but they've given people in villages, particularly women, a voice in decision-making in those villages, and what a difference that had made in Afghanistan. So there is no doubt, as we look at our opportunities around the world, that those efforts to invest in economic development and promote opportunities for people make a huge difference. As President Ashraf Ghani said when he was here speaking to the joint session of Congress, he said, educating one Afghan girl would change the next 5 generations of a family. Putting all of those children in school in Afghanistan makes such a huge difference, and this is something that the development professionals of USAID understand so well, and I commend them all for their devotion to these efforts. Because the USAID mission is more important than ever, it is critically important that we have a leader of the highest caliber at the top of this agency, and that was why I was thrilled that the Senate confirmed Gayle Smith to serve as administrator. I wish we had been able to get it done faster, but I'm glad that it finally got done, and Ms. Smith has been administrator since early December. But more than that, for 7 years, she has been a leader within this administration in shaping and guiding America's international development policy. She has helped to put development front and center in the U.S. national security agenda. Administrator Smith served as Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Development and Democracy at the National Security Council, where she helped manage the U.S. response to more than 15 major crises. Administrator Smith was previously a Senior Fellow at the Center for American Progress. She was co-founder of the Enough Project and co-founder of the Modernizing Foreign Assistance Network. During the Clinton administration, she served as Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for African Affairs at the National Security Council and as Senior Advisor to the Administrator and Chief of Staff of USAID. So clearly she's had the experience to be the leader of USAID. But what I didn't know until I was doing a little research was that she had a whole life before she came to government service, which is very interesting because prior to her government service, she worked as a journalist in Africa for more than 2 decades, covering military, economic, and political affairs for the BBC, Associated Press, Reuters, the Financial Times, and other news outlets. And she won the World Journalism Award from the World Affairs Council in 1991. And in 1999, she earned the National Security Council's Samuel Nelson Drew Award for distinguished contribution in pursuit of global peace. Ladies and gentlemen, USAID and all of us are fortunate to have an administrator with such depth and breadth of experience in promoting economic development across the globe. It is an honor and pleasure to introduce USAID's Administrator, Gayle Smith.